In a distant and isolated land called Uz, there lived a man whose character was the embodiment of righteousness and integrity. His name was Job. Everyone who knew him was aware that he was exemplary, deeply feared God, and avoided evil. He not only thrived spiritually, but was also greatly blessed materially. Job was the father of a large family, 7 sons and 3 daughters, and his wealth was impressive. He owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 pairs of oxen, 500 donkeys, and many servants working on his lands. There was no one richer or more respected in the East than Job. Despite all this wealth and success, Job never strayed from his spiritual principles. His children enjoyed hosting parties, especially on their birthdays, and always invited their sisters to celebrate together. Concerned about human frailty, Job had the habit of offering sacrifices to God for each of his children after the parties, fearing they might have sinned in thought. He was a devout man, attentive to every detail of his spiritual life. While Job lived his righteous life on earth, something was happening in the heavenly realm. One day, the angels presented themselves before God, and among them was Satan. The Lord asked Satan where he had come from, and he replied that he had been roaming the earth, observing everything. Then God, confident in Job's integrity, asked, "Have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one like him on earth, blameless and upright, who fears God and shuns evil." Satan, always skeptical of human intentions, suggested that Job's faithfulness was based on his possessions and God's favorable treatment. Does Job fear God for nothing? Haven't you put a hedge around him and blessed everything he has? Take everything away, and surely he will curse you. The challenge was then set. God allowed Satan to take everything Job had, but with one restriction: Satan could not touch Job's life. What happened next was devastating. In a single day, Job's life was unimaginably destroyed. While his sons and daughters were feasting at the oldest brother's house, a messenger came running with terrible news. The Sabeans attacked and took the oxen and donkeys, killing the servants. Only I escaped to tell you. Before Job could process the first tragedy, another messenger arrived. Fire from God fell from the sky, burning the sheep and servants. Only I escaped to tell you. Soon after, another messenger brought more bad news. The Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties, attacked your camels, and killed more servants. I was the only one to escape. Finally, the most cruel blow came with the last messenger. Your sons and daughters were feasting when a mighty wind came from the desert, struck the house, and it collapsed on them. They all died. I am the only one who escaped. Job's world, once a model of blessings and prosperity, was now in ruins. He lost everything: his possessions, his servants, and most painfully, his children. Amidst such pain and loss, Job did what any grieving person would do. He tore his clothes and shaved his head in deep mourning. But instead of cursing God, Job fell to the ground in worship. He spoke words that would echo for generations. Naked, I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Despite everything, Job did not sin or blame God for his tragedies. His unwavering faith surprised even the heavens. Satan, however, was not satisfied. He returned to God's presence and argued that although Job remained faithful, it was because he still had his health. "Skin for skin," Satan challenged. "Touch his body, and he will surely curse you." God, once again confident, allowed Satan to afflict Job physically, but with one condition: Job's life had to be spared. Soon, Job was covered with painful sores from head to toe. His agony was so intense that he sat among ashes and scraped his sores with pieces of pottery to try to ease the pain. Even in this deplorable state, when his wife suggested he curse God and die, Job replied, "You speak as a foolish woman. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" Even amid this new wave of suffering, Job did not sin. Shortly after, 3 of Job's friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, heard about his terrible situation and came to visit him. Upon arrival, they were so shocked by Job's condition that for 7 days and nights they sat in silence beside him, seeing his pain was too great for words. On the 7th day, Job broke the silence. He cursed the day of his birth, wishing he had never been born, so great was his anguish. He did not curse God, but lamented deeply the life that now seemed only an endless source of pain. Job's friends, instead of consoling him, began to speculate on the reasons for his suffering. Eliphaz suggested that Job should reflect on his life and seek forgiveness for any hidden sin. Bildad went further, insinuating that Job's children died because they deserved it. Zophar, the harshest, claimed that Job was being punished less than he deserved. These words deeply hurt Job. He called them worthless physicians and maintained his innocence. Job did not understand why God allowed so much suffering, especially for someone who always tried to live justly. He wished God would give him an explanation. Eventually, God spoke to Job, but not with a direct explanation. Instead, God asked a series of questions about creation, the universe, and the mysteries of the world, showing that divine ways are beyond human understanding. Job, faced with God's greatness, acknowledged his smallness and repented for questioning divine purposes. God then restored Job's fortunes. He gave him twice as much as he had lost: more sheep, more camels, more oxen, and donkeys. He had again 7 sons and 3 daughters, and his new daughters were the most beautiful women in the land.